We head into Election Day. I sat down with Nancy Ancrum, the editorial page editor for the Miami Herald, and Steve Bousquet, who runs the editorial page for the Sun Sentinel. I asked them what were the stories they were going to be watching on election night.
Well, local it will be whether Miami-Dade turns red. And there is a very, very good chance that it will. I think that the Republican candidates from DeSantis on down have done a very good job of, one, cultivating their base, but two, also bringing non-base voters to their side in the form of independents and some Democrats. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on.
Steve?
I'm looking at a couple of things, Jim. One of them is to what extent do women show up at the polls in far greater numbers than men? You know, every poll suggests that this is going to be potentially a landslide election for the Republicans in Florida and perhaps nationally, at least in Congress. And it seems like, you know, that the Democrats' strategy, Charlie Crist's strategy of relying and emphasizing so much the issue of abortion, the only hope, it would seem to me, that Democrats have of pulling off a miracle here is if there is a tidal wave of women voters showing up to vote, including Republican and independent women.
Nancy, earlier in the show, I spoke to Carla Hernandez, and I asked her that very question, whether or not Democrats and Charlie Crist miscalculated by placing so much emphasis on the question of abortion and not really addressing economic issues, you know, the pocketbook issues that folks are really feeling until pretty late in the campaign.
The Democrats don't have a bench, and they don't have a message, and they don't have in Florida, and they don't have their fingers on the pulse of what really, really matters to people on a day-to-day basis as they try to live their lives. Abortion is an important topic. However, versus the price of milk, I'm not sure that it is the number one topic for voters.
I think COVID has defined Ron DeSantis in a way that resonates. It's not that 82,000 people have died. It's look at the 21 million who were able to survive and thrive. And so he's playing to those numbers. And I think and that's also why his popularity nationally is on the rise. But, you know, COVID certainly hangs over this election.
He practiced the politics of defiance, much in the way that Trump did too, but he did it actually with a real issue that was going to affect a real state. And I think that COVID does not hang over this election in the way maybe I or you thought it would. I think Floridians consider themselves back to normal. And we're back to normal because of how he handled COVID. Now, we really aren't back to normal, and COVID is still here, and more than 80,000 people did die. But it was not an issue for him. Never mentioned the deaths, never showed that kind of compassion we've come to expect from, you know, other politicians who acknowledge the breadth of the loss. And it was all to his advantage.
Nancy used the word defiance. I think that's a good word. Another word possibly along that same line, anger. There's an anger in the electorate. There's a resentment in the electorate. And I think Ron DeSantis has found a way to tap into that. Do you agree, or do you think it's something more subtle than that, Steve?
No, I think I think he knows how to channel anger in a way that is effective with his base. The antagonism toward, where do we begin? The news media, Disney, local school boards, local elected officials, and on and on. In terms of, scoring points with voters. The incident in August, the arrests in a couple of cases at gunpoint of the ex-felons who had been given voter ID cards and who voted, and you had these apologetic police officers saying, "I'm just doing my job. I've got a warrant for your arrest." I think that we're going to find out, we're going to know by November 9th, the numbers will speak for themselves. Did it have a noticeable effect in depressing Democratic turnout, particularly in black precincts, where we've seen anecdotal news reports around the state that black voters are intimidated, and there's a reluctance to vote that wasn't there before. So channeling anger and utilizing every weapon at his disposal. We haven't talked about this very much, but the arsenal of political implements that an incumbent has is pretty awesome. I think the hurricane, tragic and horrifying as it was for so many Floridians, but the hurricane had the effect of sort of recasting this whole race for governor, because it allowed Ron DeSantis to be shown as a leader in really a non-political sort of way.
Nancy, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about the issue that Steve just raised about depressing turnout. I look at depressing in two definitions of the word. What he's referring to is depressing turnout from those, particularly in the African American community, who may feel intimidated. I also think Ron DeSantis's overwhelming message on the air and just this feeling that he is going to win so dramatically, it has also depressed Democrats to the point where they don't want to come out and actually vote. Talk to me a little bit about any of that.
Yes, I think that those arrests were by design and that they are having the exact effect that this administration wants, which is to intimidate African-American voters, some African-American voters, from going to the polls. And as for depressed Republicans, well, sure.
Or Democrats.
Depressed Democrats.
Trust me, I haven't met a depressed Republican in a while.
Sure, they're depressed, but they have only themselves to blame, don't they? In many ways, they really have only themselves to blame. And in just so many ways, again, in not having a message that really resonates, in not knowing how to fight back against the label, they're socialists. They were named socialists in 2020. And you would think that in 2 years, they'd come up with a really good comeback. They have not. In many ways, they have only themselves to blame. And again, being out of power for so very long just leaves them without a foundation, but they also have failed to build up their foundation.
When we come back, there is a major question on the ballot that could affect your child's education. And as I discussed at the top of the show, money is one of the driving factors in this year's election. We talked to a candidate who is absolutely getting crushed by special interest dollars. You will want to hear what she has to say. Stay with us.